Hello and welcome to my show Conversation with Priya, and I'm your host Priya Mishra. Today is our guest Kapil Kulshreshtha. Kapil Kulshreshtha is a life coach. He actually spent a lot of time getting mentored before he reached to the point. Kapil is the founder CEO of Scientific Coaching, and he helped thousands of people through his work in last couple of years to reach their personal goal. And not only that, he also helped people how to identify and create their own mindset and have that courage to go in their journey and achieve what they want to achieve. Kapil practices leadership in a director in a corporate world. He has a long history of a successful career in corporate time, but he found a desire to do something different and something unique, which gives him that fulfillment, and that brought him to the life coaching. He works specifically with the directors established in all aspects of different corporate sectors. Now Kapil is still working with the lot of professionals and corporate CEOs and CTOs and helping them and influencing them to find out their life movement and the goal, the ambitions, the desire to do something different which they always wanted to do but was holding them back. So help me to welcome today Kapil Kulshreshtha. Thank you for joining Kapil today. Thanks for accepting my request.
I'm very happy to be here, Priya, and the kind of stuff that you do, you absolutely rock. I've seen your videos on YouTube, and it's good stuff. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for inviting me.
Thanks for spending that time. Welcome to my show. Really amazing. Always talking to you. Whatever little I know about you, it is very, very inspiring. And I love the way you helped a lot of people in a couple of years only. But as I understand, you full believe in help yourself before you help somebody else. So with that note, I would like you to express a bit how this whole journey started for you in a short, if for audience, if it's possible for you to explain a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, if I look at my entire 22 years of corporate world,
Yeah.
where I worked for companies like Microsoft, Cognizant, I was a success from other people's perspective. And at a decent enough young age, 41 year of age, becoming a director, getting a good job, being in Australia, having a good life, everything that defined success was there. But as I look back and I could connect the dot only recently, I was actually always a misfit. Me and my wife were going through this calculation of how much time I actually worked in those 22 years, properly worked.
Yeah.
That's one. And it's going to be shocking. And second, what about every single job that I've had?
Mm-hmm.
So literally every single job that I've had, the day I resigned, within a week I was released because I was not adding much of a value. I mean, there are some where it was like different, but maybe it was like, because it's not that I was completely honky-dory, because I did work for 10 years of that time. Yeah. Of the 22 years, I properly worked for 10 years. No. Now, yes, it means I was a jerk. I was not contributing, but for those 10 years, I did contribute. And those 10 years of work in which I probably was on top of my game, maybe 6 years on top of my game, or maybe 5 years on top of my game, that got me into all of those senior positions and all that money.
Yeah.
That says a lot about, you can be really a big mediocre, but if you have peaks in your life, like, a peak goes up, you do so well, you get noticed, and then you basically slide down the drawer, but you basically live on the success of that for a while. And then you have another peak that can get you quite forward. Now that feeling was always growing up, because, you can fake it for a while, but you can't fake it till you make it ever. It just doesn't work, because the feeling just keeps growing inside your heart. And the more distance is there between these 2 points, the more dissatisfied you become. So in 2012 is when really one big this thing happened, where it was like, hey, before I turned 40, I wanted to be a director, and it didn't happen. And I became extremely negative. My company should have fired me. Instead of firing me, they got me a coach who changed everything that I think in a single day. His name is Arthur Walmsley. He's now 79-year-old. He lives in Melbourne. He changed my life. He spent one full day for which I think he charged Cognizant like $6,000 or something, which I'm glad I didn't have to pay. But he changed everything that I had. So I got promoted next year. And after that, I got a lot of growth, money, everything. But something he started in my mind about who I was and what I was doing and for why. The process, unfortunately, in my case, took 5 years. And 2017, I lunged. First, I lost my weight. Then I decided that this is not me. Figured myself out with help of another coach, Graham Heath. And then I lunged. I left that and started my journey, which was, I would say, not an easy journey, but I started in 2017, December.
Very, very interesting. The thing is that what I like about you, the courage to admit, the courage, 90% people have no courage to admit what they did right or what they did wrong, especially on the public forum. So I really appreciate your courage to admitting what you did and what you did not do. And I do admire for that for you. Like you know that. So the point here is that, do you understand not having that coach in your life would have been a different story for you?
Yes. Priya, when I say it, I'm not dramatizing it. I wouldn't have been alive.
Wow.
And it's not that I was suicidal, but I was depressed.
Yeah.
I had started hating money. I had started everything. I have phenomenal family. My girls are amazing. My wife is amazing. But I was just pretending to be somebody else. Constantly, every day in, day out. In the office, I would think about doing something else. I used to skip office and go and watch a movie, and because there was nobody questioning me because of my role and designation, and I would feel guilty about it later on, I would sit at home, say, why should I not go to office today? Is there a reason I should? What can I say today that I won't go? Nobody was asked me a question because of, again, seniority.
Yeah, of course.
And even then I was producing results and getting money. So everything was going wrong. Even the money I was making, I started hating it. So that road leads to only one end. It leads to significant breakdown. And I believe that I actually narrowly averted it. I don't know how near I was, because when you are in deep shit, you don't know that you're in deep shit. So I don't know how narrowly I was, because, till the time water is here, you think I can survive. But the moment water goes there, there's no going back. So I believe that I was pretty deep down.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't have had a life, and people would have been later on surprised saying, hey, he was all right. He made money. What was wrong with him? He was a freaking crazy guy. Yeah.
And I hear that a lot. When I quit my job, I have been told that, are you crazy? You worked so hard for 15 years, achieve what you achieve, and 20 years in your, the line you crossed, many hurdles and lines you have crossed and the stairs you have passed. Are you going to quit? Are you insane? Right?
Yeah.
But my husband supported me at that time, and he said, if you're not a happy mother, you can't be, a happy person in the house, then, we all are gonna be in a mess,
Beautiful.
Yeah. So it's so important to have a family support and people around you, but you do need a mentor to get through that. People don't understand where you are coming from, because when you are successful, people think, what's not you have? Why are you thinking you don't have that? But that fulfillment, how to satisfy? That's the question.
And this is the thing. Look, you can be an athlete without a coach. You can run, no issues, right? When I started my journey of weight loss, and it's such a big example, like I've got my kind of a gym set up at home. And because I couldn't afford also like gym fees, so I bought some secondhand, like $200, lots of weights. And I would do I'll do chest, I'll do everything, but I would not gain muscles. And I would think, okay, I'm becoming stronger. What, like you're becoming stronger in your bones? Where's your muscle? Like I would gain, but it was not great. And then about 7 months back, now I have a personal trainer who coaches me and my wife 4 times a week. And this has become bigger. This has become bigger. Legs have become stronger because, he has given us a regime. He has told us food. So thing is, you cannot get 6 packs on your own in a gym. You can't become an Olympian on your own. You gotta need, like Sachin Tendulkar, the best of the best of the best in the world, has coach.
Yeah.
CEOs of companies, Bill Gates, they have coaches.
Yeah.
So, right? So when you want to play a big game, you got to have coaches. If you don't want to play a game, it's all right. It's okay, right? But I believe one life you got, if this is not where you do it, where would you do it?
Yeah.
As far as being vulnerable is concerned, look, one life I've got. If somebody is going to judge me for being a failure, almost all my life, all my corporate life, they could judge me for that. Or they could realize that, God, man, 22 years, this guy was a misfit and he didn't even know it.
Right.
Wow. What am I doing wrong?
Many are not, many are the same issue.
Yeah. Yeah. See, so they could get inspired and look at their own life. But it's not that I've always been like that. I published this book, and in this book, there's no story of getting fired. It was published in June, July, August 2019. There's no story of me getting fired. That means till August 2019, good 1.5 years after I started my coaching business, I didn't have guts to put this story. But the moment, I remember I was in a session with like some 100 odd folks on a Zoom call, and I realized that by sharing my story, a lot of people have lost their jobs and they consider me as a perceived success. By sharing my story, I'm going to contribute. Boom. So I guess my stories and my failure and why I'm sharing it comes from that place where I believe with which I can contribute to people, saying nobody's going to judge you. Not even one person, Priya, has come back and told me, you jerk, you got fired from Microsoft. No, not one person has come back and said, you stupid idiot. Nobody ever said that to me. Nobody. Everybody supported it. I recently put a post about series of failures like yesterday.
Yeah.
Every single person supported it. Nobody laughs at failures.
No.
We laugh at our failures.
Yeah. We create that circumstances, I believe.
In our mind, in here.
Yeah. And whatever you perceive, it reflects, it's a kind of a law of attraction. I would.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I agree with
what you attract, what you get.
Yeah.
And that brings to my next thinking, I would say, hiring a coach and hiring a coach for the right purpose is also very important.
Absolutely.
Right. So see, I'm a business person. Like I talk about more marketing and sales and making your brand positioning and all those things. I cannot go into the life coaching, and you cannot prefer to go into more of a marketing side, as I believe. I think you need to identify your real problem and find a right coach is also very crucial in your life. And that defines, a lot of people come to me and say, oh, I hired the coach, didn't work out. And I always ask them, did you hire the right reason, right? You do hire a coach who can solve the right problem. You don't want to go for if you have a feet problem, you don't want to go for dentist, right? You will go to the dentist for the dentist problem and feet for the feet problem, right? You need to find the right doctor for yourself.
Yes.
And really appreciate the opening up you are doing. And I would encourage people to read that book. It has a lot of senses to that, and people should read and get inspired. It's all about creating your own perception before you want to be perceived by people, isn't it?
And Priya, very funny. Somebody I was talking to recently on LinkedIn, and this guy mentioned, hey, in October I gave you a feedback on Amazon, and I didn't care to look at it because never bothered about it. And it was not a smartest thing to do. I should have been more promoting, but didn't. So anyway, so what he shared is that he said 3 things. And he said, he said 3 learning. The third was, he said, throughout the entire book, I kept noticing typos and grammatical errors and all of those things. Till the time I came to a point where the author says there's a lot of typos and there's a lot of grammatical error, but we would rather put out an imperfect product out there in the world so that people can still give us feedback and learn and grow rather than trying to make it perfect. So this book, like it's about 300 pages, 54,000 words, 64,000 words, is that exactly the same thing life is. You will make mistakes. You will F it up. There will be issues. There'll be challenges. You will fall down face flat. But the idea is that instead of saying, let me make it perfect, and thinking about, I don't want to put something out there which I'll be laughed at. Think about it. I don't want to put something out there which won't be used. So there are too many people who have got so much skill inside them, so much power inside them. They stop because they want to cross the threshold. There is no threshold. None. Those who want to serve, those who want to help, and I know serve is like a cliche word, but those who want to help can help with what they have.
Yeah.
Whichever way, it's your corporate job or anything, there's no threshold of skills. You're there already. Just need to, get into the short circuit these two.
Yeah. I think I always say that, progress is better than perfection, right?
Yeah.
And in IT industry, 70% product never made to the market because it was not perfect in the initiator's point of view. So when you started thinking about creating this whole business model as a life coach, what was the thought going on?
Could you elaborate the question? What do you mean by thought? There were like a gazillion thoughts going on.
I know we were talking about a lot of things, how the whole journey started. What was the first personal transformation that happened to you that allowed you to really question how would you do this business?
Yeah, look, the very first personal transformation was losing weight. And I really surprised the heck out of myself because I had tried for decades to lose weight and I couldn't do it.
Right.
And I really surprised myself. So I was, wow, I could do it. And I did not have any cheat days during the journey. I didn't have to control myself at all. It was just set of habits. So I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And again, I'm not a sequential person that once this happens, that happens. In the same time frame, I was trying to figure out what's the point of my life? What's the point? Like, and I was asking questions and talking to people, working with my coach out on these things and just figuring it out generally. And I was doing personal development program like crazy. Like one thing I believe in, once you want to go do something, if you have to choose between time and money, always choose time because money can come back, time can't. So I was like, I was parallelly doing this landmark. I was doing this program with another person and trying to go and like doing all of those things just to get information, reading tons. Like every week I finished, like, I think the best was in a week, I finished listening to 4 books. And these books are like, so about, on an average, about 30, 40 hours of listening to audiobooks. I'm just exercise, I'm listening to book. I'm doing walking, I'm all the time. So I'm just speaking these ideas. And one book gives me one idea. I'm making notes. So I'm doing all of those things and I'm figuring myself out and I couldn't figure myself out. So it's like, okay. And then something happened. And incidentally, something happens that makes you realize, oh, so what happened was that I asked my boss, I had enough courage to ask my boss. And I did tell him about the movie thing that I used to run out and watch a movie in between. And he was all right. He was, like I said, Ivan, that's what I used to do. He's like, I know. He said, I know, I saw you once. I was like, cool. You never told me. Yeah, you're a senior guy, man. I mean, he said, sometimes you do. I know you produce results. That's all I want. He said, Ivan, why do you keep me around, man? Why do you keep me around?
Yeah.
He said, I can't think of my team without you, Kapil. I said, okay. So I was leading. So he has 3 direct reports. 2 of us were leading part of the business, So he said that, he's a big NFL fan, like an Aussie bloke. He said in a team, there are people who are on the ground running and making the goals and just rushing and sweating it out. And there's somebody who's basically pepping them up in the room and getting them energized and giving them water and taking care of them. You're that guy, Kapil. Now he was positive. He was trying to encourage me. Wow. And for me, my mind went, I was like, this is who I decided to become. A support system.
Right.
My identity is all about, I'm a effing support system.
Right.
It was a light bulb moment. It was like, that's not how I see myself as.
Interesting.
Not at all. And then there was no option. In a week, I quit. I put my papers. And he was very surprised. But when I told him what I'm going to do, he was like, go, man. Yeah. And for me, it became like, I have gone through this pain of mediocrity and this definition that I got from my own family, from a very normal, in fact, lower middle class background, that do the job, you'll be happy. You'll make money, go overseas, buy a car. And it didn't make me happy.
Yeah.
And for a while, I wanted more and I got more and more and more, but it didn't make me happy. Now, a lot of people at that time become contented and be happy with what you got. No. If I know there's a beast sitting inside me who wants to crash out of this body and my version 2.0, I have to get it. And why should I not get more? Why should I not have the material pleasure? Why should I not build my life? Why should I not give more, be more, do more?
Yeah.
Why should I stop myself?
Yeah.
So with due respect to all the people who are contented and who say, don't move out of your boundaries and all of it. We do respect to them. I believe that's full of crap. For me, people like me, if I want to build my powerful life, then I've got to go all in. That's where the play it full philosophy comes in.
Yeah.
How can I be absolutely healthy, energetic, biohack my body, right? How can I be all the time feeling great about my life?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't I have beautiful, juicy relationship with myself, with my spouse, with my kids, with my community, with the world? Why shouldn't I give it all? Why shouldn't I have awesome accomplishment, make tons of money and impact so many people? Why shouldn't I have it all? Why should I compromise?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's about it. And that's those points. I think that story was like, Ivan doesn't know how big favor he did to me that day when he encouraged me and I got it. And that was a massive turning point. But again, I was building up to it. I had a right environment, right proximity, right coach, right conversation, and boom, I smashed it out of the park after that.
It's a process. It's a process. We all have to go through with that. Yeah. And as you mentioned, the mediocre family, the people, we come from the middle class family, and that's how we have been taught. That's how we have been actually nurtured and groomed. And our mindset is just set to that, if we will earn good enough, if we will have a car and a house and a certain money, we should be contained. Yeah. But if you are ambitious and you desired more, and that's where your fulfillment is, and that's where your happiness is, why not?
Yeah. And look, it's not that you desire more and buying a bigger house is going to make you fulfilled. It will not. It will not.
Yeah.
For anybody. But thing is, if you play it full across all aspects of life,
yeah,
right?
That's my
if
point.
You're giving so much, like even today, my father, when I talk about these results with my dad, and I love my dad, he's 80-year-old, he's an amazing guy. When I talk to him about how a client of mine got $180,000 in salary increment, he says, "What did you get?" And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I got like, this guy was able to produce this result in 4 months flat, but I got, this is more than money. I could do this. I could be the right 2% of somebody's life.
Yeah, that's right? Cool.
So it's their definition in that place is money is the thing. But what do you do with the money once you've got all these desires? What do you do with the money? Money allows me to buy time from amazing people who then helps me get us into a speed lane. Money allows me to, spend time with people whose mindset, whose one statement can just change my entire life. Money allows me to be part of like 4 different masterminds. It allows me to experiment and fail. People think money is evil in its own this thing. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand money. I mean, I thought money was evil as well. That's what, dude, you don't understand money. If you focus on relationship, it will grow. If you focus on health, it will grow. If you focus on money, it will not grow. It will not grow because money is a symbol. Money is what you can do with that. You can do money makes you more of who you are. If you're a good guy, more money is going to make you better.
Yeah,
it will, because you can do more with the money for the world. I've got 19 and 16-year-old girls. Both of them know it. They know it today. They're not going to get a dime from their parents. They know it. They have been told from the young age that this is all not yours. And me and my wife sometimes discuss it that, hey, when I die, what will happen? Not that I care. What will happen? Everything will go back to the world. I will not give anything to my kids. I'm told. And they're great girls. But I'm like, this is not yours. I'm borrowing from people and eventually go there. And it's not an ascetic kind of a charity-driven mindset. I just think that, if they're amazing, they will make their own money. Anyway, I'm not going to die for another 80 years. I'll die when I'm 129 and they'll be old by that time. They don't need my money.
Very interesting. And I really love the angle you are bringing. And I know you teach on the mindset programs and you also teach people on the courage side, and you are showcasing that courage and you're showcasing the mindset and how it shifted and changed. And thinking about each and every aspect, including money. I believe money is not evil. I believe money can bring a lot of things, It's not the ultimate goal, but it actually helps a lot. And I
Absolutely.
think everybody should be comfortable with the money. Talking money is not a bad thing, which has been groomed a lot these days. That money is evil, and money you should not think about too much money. You should not be very materialistic and all. But I'm thinking we can still be a materialistic, and like we can still be a good person.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think I'm like that. I want material goods. I like to wear good clothes. I like to drive a good car. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to sell my soul. Because guess what? I sold my soul in my job. I sold my soul in my job. And I know people constantly, people who say I'm just working for a living, they're selling their soul in the job. If they find that same soul back in the same job, they could contribute so much. Because what is an organization? What is a company? A company is a group of people who are actually combined together for a common purpose, to actually serve their end customers. If you get your soul back in the job, and I know such people, they're amazing. They do great job. They're very happy in their job, and they're really kicking like goals like anything. And they're very happy.
Yeah.
Every dollar they make makes a bigger difference in their life.
Right.
Job is not something that you do for a living. Job is a critical part of our life, or work, what we do.
Yeah.
We can't ignore it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not who you are, the job you do. It's just the job you do, and who you are, you can still define, But what would
Within the
you,
job.
yeah, what would you suggest in the context of learning? How should they listen to advice or a strategy to blueprint or whatever they call it, so they can be preset to what is also true for them?
Yeah, look, I believe learning is overstated, overrated. Learning without implementation is absolutely useless. Now, there's a reason why learning has so much focus, because earlier it was a knowledge economy.
Yeah.
Like if you think about it, that from age untold, the person who knew more could actually make a big difference. But today, you don't have to know more. You can just Google the damn thing. You have to is so what you have to be is what you have to be. And I don't want to get into mindset. Important thing about learning is that instead of learning, understand something, implement it, go out, talk to people about it. Like I have clients who say that I've been planning, but I just thought that based on like when they started the program, they were like, let me talk to people. And they talked to people and said, everything I thought was right came out to be wrong in that particular context. And I would have wasted months and years and money in doing all those courses and all, and it just got disappeared within like 1 hour. Like for instance, people want to be coaches and they go and they waste their money in certification. Nobody cares about it. They don't know it. It's just for them. Like nobody has asked me, of 1,000 people I have spoken to probably, nobody ever asked me, where's your certification? And if somebody asks me the question, they don't even want to be my clients. They're just looking at basically a teacher. I'm not a teacher.
Yeah.
I'm a friend. I'm a partner. So learning, like I have this quote that I thought about sometime, and I put it multiple times on social media, which is that mountains of wealth, and I say wealth, like all kind of wealth, health, relation, everything. Yeah. So mountains of wealth is hiding under the rubble of inaction. So I'll say, instead of learning, talk to people. There's so much richness in that.
Yeah.
Think about your proximity. You'll automatically learn. Let learning be automatic. Implement. And when you're tired of implementing, implement some more.
Yeah. And I always say that know your market, See, I mean, I always talk about marketing context because I'm a marketing strategist. But when it comes to the understanding, whatever ideas you have to have a market segment for that, right? And if you are not creating a market segment, and if you don't know what is your market, and I mean, it's a long time ago, this book has written Cyber Psychometric. You can't think like fake it until you make it. It is like you have to have a vision that I have it, right? And to have it, you need to have all right element in place, right? And to do that, you need to know what is the minimum expectation from your client and what's the value add you're going to give it to the client. Once you know that, your vision is very clear that I'm going to be there. Right?
Absolutely. I completely agree. And people And people, including myself, didn't understand marketing, right? My entire first year, in the entire first year of business, full-time guy, I made $17,600. And you can imagine the amount of confidence it will have, issue I'll have on me because of that, right? Which I couldn't talk to people about at that time because I was being stupid about it. Now, the thing is, when I say I was being stupid about it, it's actually lack of focus. Now, people in job can have focus. People in business can have focus. Today, the world is changing. It's not who you know that matters. It's not your skills and capabilities. What matters is who knows you for what. If I'm in the job market, if I'm a SAP person, am I basically, and I don't know SAP modules, but am I a SAP purchase person who's absolutely expert in that? Or I'm a generalist? Who wants to talk to generalists? There are some jobs, but you're going to have to apply for it. How do jobs walk to people, including for business as well, is by standing for one thing. And do I have my one thing figured out, all of it completely? Not completely, but I've got it narrowed down to a specific segment whose problem I completely understand. I relate to it. I have done it hundreds of times.
Yeah,
that's what it is. And that's why I built up my business to a substantial number. Yeah. Similarly in job, right? People who say, oh, I need to apply for a job. They need to understand 15% of the jobs ever come out in the market. And of that, many are just there for following the process. Applying is not the thing. They have to go out. They have to have an image, a proper, authentic image, so that they get the work, they get the job. Similarly in business, how many businesses would happen just like that on a phone call? You're not even applying, just friends, just do business with each other.
Yeah.
Maybe 95% business does not happen because somebody applies for a tender, right? You have to be somebody who then attracts the right kind of people. And there's always a narrow segment. It's okay to talk to right 100 people, then to shoot your CV or shoot your business idea to 50,000. 100 people are going to change the trajectory of the business.
Yeah. And I always say that you only need handful of people to trust in you.
Absolutely.
And as Seth Godin wrote a book on it, be a linchpin.
Be a linchpin.
Be a linchpin. You don't need too much in this world.
Yeah.
So that brings to my last question. What would be your advice for individuals who is starting out in this business or, their career or their life or in any business gallery?
Okay.
What would be your last 1-2 cents advice for them where they should start now and how to find their end goal?
Yeah. So I would assume that anybody starting in the business, people have entrepreneurship dreams, but they don't have big enough hearts and mindset. So anybody who's looking at starting a business should not think about there's a market gap, I'm going to fill it up. Don't do that. It's the best way to fail. You don't fill up a market gap because there are people who are sitting there for a long time who are amazing. They're not able to fill it up, then you can't. Don't look at an opportunity and fill it up. Okay, that's the number one advice I would give. Second, figure yourself out before you do anything. It's always worth it. You will save time, pain, everything you'll save. You'll save so much money in the process. If you figure yourself out who you are, why you're doing what you're doing, what is your end goal? Rather, even if you don't know end goal, I want to make money. Okay, I get it. Fair enough. But you want to make money doing something which when the shit hits the fan, you will still be able to do. Because guess what? In business, there will be setbacks. There'll be no's. And those time, if your why is clear, you will stay on. You will just keep going. Right? There was a time in my business when I knew in 2 months' time, I'll have $563 in my bank.
Yeah.
And it was a deeply humbling exercise. All the money that I had invested, saved, and all of it didn't mean a thing when I needed liquidity. It was a big humbling time for me. So things will go wrong. If either my wife or me had gone back to job, I wouldn't have a successful business today. So it's not get pepped up and pumped up thing. It's like get your insight so clear, your confidence in nothing is going to hold you back. Certainty about there's a life of abundance, clarity about what I'm going to do, and courage to take actions, which is built on top of habits, it's built on top of values, your strength, and most of all, built on top of your standard. So build the base. which is not fake it till you make it, but this is who I am. This is what I stand for.
That vision.
Once you do that, then move forward in the business. Otherwise, don't do it. You will waste your money. You will waste your time. You will give a lot of pain to a lot of people, your family, your customers, everybody. You will not serve people well.
Yeah.
And it will be the end of the game. That's why 94% businesses fail. They don't fail because of lack of energy or willpower and all of it. They fail because of absolute mindset. Short circuit this and this. That's where your little area is, your ikigai is, where you will be amazing.
Great advice. Thank you so much. And I always suggest be addicted, be focused, be ambitious, and be a risk taker in business.
Absolutely. Be obsessed. Be like a rock star. And that's it. After that, you got it. But figure it out. What is it about? Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for joining in today. It was a great conversation. I can talk another hour, but time has the limitations. Thank you so much for your time today. We extended a lot, but yeah, we'll be bringing you back if it is possible.
Sure, Priya.
And I will be looking forward to chat you more and bring more people to your audience. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Priya. Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you so much for watching this video. If you liked it, like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already done it. To know more about us, visit www.corporality.global. And also you can find more about Priya Mishra is on priya.sydney.